Oh my goodness, I have never seen anything like that. So we do apologize. We are back up and running. Technology is a very fascinating thing. I'm not a technocrat, but I'll tell you what, I am learning how very fast. Welcome to Wealth Warriors, to Studio 116, broadcasting out of Boston, Massachusetts. And we are so glad that you stood by for us. For sure, for sure. We have in the house none other than Robert H. Randolph, and I will be bringing him aboard in just a moment. But of course, we always share with our audience who we are, what we're about, and what we're doing. So let me get started by sharing that with you. First and foremost, we are wealth warriors. We are determined individuals. We are putting ourselves on the line, not only for ourselves, but for our families, for the next generations. We are powerful, but we need tools. And that's what this broadcast is about. It's about bringing the tools to the table so that we can feed and grow into a mighty nation. What's the mighty nation? It's 100,000 individuals. 100,000 individuals around the world that will speak the same language. And that's the language of wealth. And we're entitled to do that. You know, sometimes we do not believe that we are entitled to do something. And therefore, we're not committed to the process because we don't realize that we have that kind of power. And that is in part what we're going to be talking about today. You know, we're talking about 12 keys that will create financial freedom. But along with those 12 keys, we've got to be committed to a process. We have talked about credit. We've talked about real estate as tools. We're talking about entrepreneurship because one of the things that we know, in order for us to be financially free, we've got to own. We've got to own our properties. We've got to own our businesses. I spoke with somebody recently about community, and I said, in order for us to create community, in order for us to command and demand that companies that we need come into our community, we've got to be solid. We've got to have an economic base in order to make that happen. And I know I can get into a preach about this because I am so impassioned about entrepreneurship. I'm so impassioned about our success that sometimes I go off into a tangent, so please do forgive me. I want to welcome folks on that have check marked and said, hey, we're here. So I want to say thank you to Alina Thomas, who is consistent and always here. I want to say thank you to our representative, our state representative, Gloria Fox out of Boston, Massachusetts. I want to say thank you to Virginia Traverse for always being on board with us. And for the rest of you who are on board, we want to say thank you, thank you, thank you many times over for being consistent. Gloria Wright, Betty Speaks, Edward Chatterton, all of you, I want to say thank you for supporting our program so that we can build. And by all means, bring others aboard, give them an opportunity to share in knowledge so that we can create wealth. Now, with all that being said, I want to introduce our speaker for today, or our guest speaker for today. He is an incredible individual who has been on the planet for a long period of time and brings a wealth of information. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's an author, and he's a technocrat as well. And so without further ado, I want to bring a gentleman on that's going to talk about a heavy-duty topic. And the topic is so heavy that sometimes we miss it because it just doesn't make sense at first. Well, what? Well, I'll tell you, he's going to take the what out of it. So the question is, does commitment share the bejeebies out of you? And if it does for me too. And I got something from this gentleman, and I want to give it to you. Without further ado, Mr. Robert H. Randolph. Are you there?
I am here and ready to rock and roll. Good morning, everyone.
Well, we're saying good morning to you, sir. The floor is yours. We said commitment. It scares the bejeebies out of me as many others. So talk to us about commitment and how commitment is going to play a role into our entrepreneurial success.
Absolutely. I was thinking as you were speaking, I think, what I'm going to talk about, things like commitment, and is part of the mindset of being a wealth warrior. Commitment is a fundamental process or a fundamental part of going for wealth, going for financial freedom. One has to be committed to that. One of the gurus in my life once said a very important thing, and this is the thing that got me going on this whole idea of the power of commitment. And he said that we're always committed. We're never not committed. But the question for each of us is, what is it that we are committed to? And so my premise and my discovery is that a lot of us throughout our lives make a set of unconscious commitments. And as a result of that, our lives are driven by those unconscious commitments. And as a result, we can't harness the true power of commitment. May I, Brent, just read a very brief statement about commitment, and I think it'll set the context for our entire discussion.
Please do, Bob. Please do. I'd like to hear that.
This is a quote from a German philosopher by the name of Goethe. And quote, unquote, quote, "The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help that which would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance, which no man would have dreamed would come his way." And that's the power we're talking about. That summarizes pretty much the entire discussion about commitment. What I've discovered...
Bob, let me interrupt you for just a moment there. That is heavy duty. Would like for you, that word province, can you define that for us? I know that you're going to go in and discuss, but province is a pivotal word here. Would you define that for us?
Well, I think yes. It's used in the context of this statement. It's capitalized, by the way, in the context of the statement, and so I take that to be, depending on your spiritual orientation, I take that to be God. Some people would call that the universe, and so on, depending on your particular spiritual beliefs. But I would take that in the normal Christian context to be God himself.
Okay,
So,
I definitely appreciate that. For many of us, you know, some of the things that come to mind would be the law of attraction, or you and I have talked about the landmark experience. So when I think about that word, I think about those things is that law of attraction, that we attract things to us. And sometimes we can be a bum magnet and attract things to us that are not exactly in our best favor as well. So with that having been said, Bob, continue on, please. Commitment,
well,
scare the bejeebies out of us, and what can we do about it?
it's a very powerful word. One of the things that examples of the power of the word commitment and the concept is that if you've ever noticed when you've been at a wedding or some event similar to that and vows are exchanged, oftentimes a tear comes to your eyes, and oftentimes people are moved. And they are moved, and the reason they are moved, if you haven't figured that out, is the reason they are moved is because of the power of the word commitment. Let me just go on to say that the test of what you are committed to is your current circumstance. So if you look into your life and see all of the events and the people there and the relationships and all of those things that you currently have in your life are the result of a set of commitments that you have already made, either consciously or unconsciously. So what my process is about, and the process that I've discovered, is that some of those commitments we would like to keep, and we would like to, our commitment to go to work in the morning, that's probably one commitment that we'd like to hang on to. Our commitment to drive a certain kind of car that we're currently driving, that commitment we'd like to hang on to. But there is another list of commitments, and what we want to do is we want to examine that list, those unconscious commitments that we've made, and turn them into conscious commitments. And I do that in the work that I'm doing. I do that by creating a list of our current commitments, and then I take that list and I edit it to take out the things I no longer want to be committed to, and then I make a new list of things I want to be committed to.
Bob, can I break you for just a moment? That sounds like a cross between goals and mind over matter. Help me with that.
It is, well, it's definitely mind over matter. I think it's more fundamental than goals. When I sit down, I do this about every 6 months, and when I sit down to review my commitments and what I'm committed to, I do my commitment list, and out of that commitment list, I establish a set of goals. So I think, in my point of view, that commitment is the precursor to goals. It establishes a baseline for in all the areas of your life, your commitments in your relationships, your commitments to your health, your commitment to your finances. They're all set of commitments that we should make, and then follow those up with goals, and that's the way I use the system.
Okay, I heard something powerful, because what we want to do is we're going to hone this down into the conversation of entrepreneurs, of us being entrepreneurs. And
Absolutely.
what I heard from that is that there are commitments. I'm trying to bring that wording in together with entrepreneurship. That sounds kind of ethereal. In how is it mind over matter? And in that being the case, how come we aren't there yet? Because we want it. I want it. I'm sure. People that are watching this broadcast this morning, they for certainly want it. So what makes it so elusive? And just that word commitment, I'm just like, really, Bob? Yeah, work with me on this.
Okay, you're right on, actually. Let's take an example of a series of commitments, and let me ask you some questions about commitments. What are you committed to in the area of wealth? What are you committed to in establishing what you need to establish to create wealth? What are you committed to in terms of your time? What are you committed to in terms of your behavior? What new behaviors are you going to have in order to be wealthy or to have financial freedom? There's a series.
Oh, wait a second. Whoa. Now that was heavy. Please continue on. That was heavy. What am I committed to doing to get there? Okay.
For sure. And there are a whole set of commitments that one has to make along those lines. And just as in the case of goals, it's important to write these things down and remind yourself. I encourage people to write down their commitments, and I encourage them to review their commitments on a frequent basis to keep themselves on track. And once they begin to...
One of my colleagues, a gentleman, Mark Sterling, said that we need to be reviewing them every day. And in fact, he said he has things on Post-its in his car so he can read them when he gets started, when he starts the car, when he shuts the car off or something of that nature. He says for him, that's how frequently he needs to see those. What are your thoughts on that, Bob?
Oh, absolutely agree. I was being a little careful about saying every day, but that's definitely the prescription.
Okay.
You need to review these commitments because you see, life happens and it's easy, very easy to forget what we are committed to. I mean, everything is pushing us in another direction. As a matter of fact, if you've ever seen people that are in a state of what's called overwhelm or breakdown,
Mm-hmm.
the reason that happens is because people have lost track of what they're committed to. So as a result, they go into this mode of not being able to do anything or being stuck. And that's a result of not being in touch, I mean, intimately in touch with what they're committed to. So I heartily recommend that one review these commitment lists every day. That's really harnessing the power of commitment.
You know, Bob, every day, that's kind of, man, how much time do I have to spend looking and reading a bunch of lists? Talk to me about that. Does it,
Well,
sitting up here
I'll
thinking,
tell you, I've been a meditator since 1973, and it's 20 minutes a day, twice a day, and I'm telling you that the benefit far outweighs the time expense. Far, far, far. So,
okay. So you're saying in a 24-hour period of time, we should be able to spend 40 minutes reviewing.
no, you don't have to spend 40 minutes. You could do it in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but you've got to do it. You see that the real process, I studied hypnosis for about 15 years and was a practicing hypnotist, hypnotherapist. And one of the things I learned in that was that we have this powerful vehicle called the subconscious mind. And we have to put good stuff into our subconscious mind if we're ever going to succeed in anything. So the point of this constant review is to firmly implant the ideas in your subconscious mind. And as a matter of fact, in my workbook, I talk about an exercise that one should do with their list that's called a symbolic gesture to the subconscious mind. And that's what's really happening when you review the list, is you begin to implant these ideas and these commitments deeply into your subconscious mind. And once your subconscious mind gets it, then you become what I call unstoppable. Nothing can get in the way of your achieving what you are committed to.
So what I hear you saying is that's our power. Our power, the power is in our heads. It's in our minds. We have the power to facilitate this, to make this happen. It really is on us. Is that what you're saying to us?
Absolutely. As I said at the beginning, this is the mindset part of being a wealth warrior. You have to get your mind straight as part of the process of being, doing, and having what wealth people have. So
I heard being, doing, and having. That's inside. Being, doing, and having. So being wealthy, doing the work that's necessary, and having the results.
Exactly, and that's what this commitment process is all about.
It sounds a lot like sports. We'll hear sports figures talk about the fact that it's a mindset that we need to get into. We need to see ourselves already there. I've heard coaches talk about see ourselves already at that place so that we get there, or the vision board that some of us make. I'm in the process of creating a vision board. It sounds like that's what you're talking about in order for us to get to the place that we want to get to. Am I right about that?
Yes, those are results of your commitment process. I'm glad you mentioned Vision Board. I've had just marvelous experiences with Visions boards. I have one over in my office over on the wall above my computer.
Oh,
So
well, let me ask you, was your vision, did your vision board position you to be moving to another country? Was that on your vision board?
I'm telling you, like quickly, a little aside, I have an item on my vision board that speaks to where I would like to live in a condo near the beach, and I have a picture of that. And last year, when I first went to Panama in August of last year, uh, I suddenly realized that the picture window I was looking out of the condo I was staying in for the month was very close to the picture I had on my vision board. So I'm a firm believer.
Great.
I am a believer, and that's
Wow.
part of the decision to move to Panama.
Wow, wow, wow. So what you're saying is you had the vision that you wanted to move to Panama, and you set in motion what was necessary in order to have that results, and you will be living in Panama in 2015. Am I right about that?
That is definitely the plan, and it's let's put it this way, Brent. That's what I'm committed to.
Okay, I like it. I like it. I like it.
To
So,
yes.
I'm going to ask our audience, what are you committed to? Hashtag, what am I committed to? Or hashtag, I am committed. Go on up to our elusive exclusive Wealth Warrior Facebook page and let us know, what are you committed to? Are you committed to financial freedom? Are you committed to taking action? What is it that you are committed to in order to make that happen? And you know what? Be selfish. I am. Because in order for this to occur, I have to take some action. I speak of Mr. Sterling because I had a really enjoyable experience with him. And I remember I sat down, and the first things I said is, oh, things aren't going the right. They aren't happening. They aren't this. And he said, stop, stop right there. He says, turn that language around. I am. He says, you have to be in order to make that happen. We want to own businesses. We have to be in order to make that happen. We want to be wealthy. We have to be in order to make that happen. I'm sure that there are a few folks out there that when they heard commitment, Brent, where are you going with this? It is because I heard something that Bob spoke about when he shared this with us. And he spoke about getting into our minds. When I had the privilege of being a representative to the White House Conference on Small Business, one of the women that was there, her name was Florence. She was the lead for us. And that's what she talked about, becoming a collective. So we have a group of 200 people sitting in the room, and we were powerful because we became one mind. So we need to become one mind with ourselves. Somebody hashtag one mind, because that's what we need to be. We need to be one mind in our effort to get to that place. Because being an entrepreneur, getting to the point of financial freedom, we've got to see that. We've got to see that. We've got to make it happen. Commitment. I want to be financially free. That is a commitment. And then we have to do the work. A lot of times people will say, well, why aren't I there? And I remember a gentleman by the name of Donald Bradley. You might have heard me speak about him a couple, 2 or 3 times. And he said to me, Brent, you haven't done the work yet. And I was like, what? Yet I now get it. 22 months later, I now get it. We have to do the work. Hey, Bob, talk to us about a free gift. A gift is free. So talk to us about a gift of service that you are offering our wealth warriors today. Tell us about that.
Yes, I'd love to. Now, I hesitate a little bit because I don't want this to sound like some kind of commercial, but here goes.
Okay, Bob, you can sound
have,
like a commercial. We give you permission to sound like a commercial. Go right ahead.
okay. Uh, Considering that I was going to be on this talk, and Brent has a large number of people that are following her efforts, I have put together what is called an e-course, and for those people who need the additional help, what I have done is I put together an e-course that walks them through the process of clarifying their commitments. That workshop consists of a workbook. It's a 27-page workbook, plus 3 email modules that I will mail out to the participants. Normally, this e-course costs $30. I'm offering the first 10 people who sign up for the e-course will get the e-course completely, absolutely free. The workbook plus the 3 email modules, which I will walk them through over a 3-week period so that they can get complete clarity on what they're committed to, and then they can move on to achieve their goals of financial freedom.
Bob, I'm going to tell you right now, I want in, I want in, I want in. So tell folks again, where do they need to send information for that to sign up for it? Tell us again.
Go to, gosh, I don't know if Google Hangouts allows you to have any kind of titling or anything, but it's Rand Associates, ASSOCS @gmail.com. RANDASSOCS, Rand Associates @gmail.com. Send me an email. I'll send you the details. The next cycle starts on Monday, the 27th, and I have capacity for 50 people. And as I said, the first 10 people who sign up will get the course absolutely free.
Well, I've got news for you, sir. I am going to very definitely be on that. I got to tell you something. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a gift. Truly, it is a gift. And I want to reiterate, it's randassociates@gmail.com. If somebody would put that up on our elusive exclusive Wealth Warriors Facebook site, it would be greatly appreciated. The first 10 people, there is no charge to you. And I think that that is absolutely phenomenal of Bob to offer that. He is at the top of his game with information like that. For those of us who have ever been involved in Landmark, you probably heard some of the language of Landmark in there, like Ms. Angela Yard, who is an associate of mine, who is a proponent. Bob was one of those founding individuals with some of this technology. So it is phenomenally exciting to have him here sharing that information with us. And the next cycle begins on Monday, the 27th, which is this Monday coming up, ladies and gentlemen. So we want to be large and in charge for that. And I am most appreciative that he has put that on the table. So if you got a nugget this morning out of what's going on, I want you to hashtag the nugget that you got this morning, because this is heavy duty stuff. And I got to tell you something, this is the kind of stuff that people literally pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to coach with somebody regarding. And I will tell you, I remember back in the day spending that kind of money to coach with somebody to share this information with us. So I got to tell you, you are getting such an incredible nugget today. And I really do hope that you take advantage of it. You know, we still have some more time. This is what I want everybody to do. We need to do a flash mob. We haven't done a flash mob in a little while. What's a flash mob? That is when all of us are going to tweet out. We're going to go to Twitter and we're going to tweet out that we are listening to a broadcast from the Wealth Warriors. So I want you to do this. I want you to get ready. Get the fingers ready to go. Got my pen in hand. Get your fingers ready to go. And I want you to hit that keyboard and tweet out. hit Twitter, and it should be the icon above this broadcast. Go to Twitter, and I want you to share with them that come on over to the Elusive Exclusive Wealth Warrior Facebook site. We've got it open to the public today. We are a closed group, but we've got it open to the public today so we can share some more with you. Because guess what? Bob is still here, and we've got another element that we're now going to delve into our heads. So at the count at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are going to tweet out. So are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tweet out. I am at the Wealth Warriors exclusive elusive Facebook site listening to an incredible broadcast. Whatever language you use will work. I am committed. That's what you want people to know. You are committed. And share that with somebody. Invite somebody into the broadcast. There's a Twitter, and there's also the Facebook icons right above the broadcast. Let people know that you're here. Let us know that that we're here, and we're sharing some important information, because getting into our minds is such a critical component to creating wealth. Getting into our minds helps to create wealth. I hope you tweeted out. So let's bring it back. Let's bring it full circle. Bob, one of the things that that's important, as far as I can hear in this conversation, is the mind over the matter, the mind over the circumstances we're in, so we can get to the destination. Talk to us about mind over matter as it relates now to being a successful entrepreneur. Please, the floor is yours.
Oh boy, that's a big one. The way I approach things nowadays is that I approach things from the point of view of it all starts in the mind. Everything that we can imagine has been created as the result of a thought. And that thought is the thing that drives substance or matter into physical existence. And I hope that doesn't sound too airy-fairy, but that's my belief, is that it all begins with a thought. And thoughts are extremely powerful, and because they are the progenesis of physical reality. So I don't know if it's mind over matter as much as it is mind that creates matter. And that's the place to start. Once one accepts that idea and that philosophy, you can begin to look around and you can see it everywhere. You can see that just about any design of anything that you see in the room that you're in, it began initially as a thought in some designer's head, and it ultimately, that thought produced the reality or the physical reality of that thing, whatever it is. And that is true for our notions of wealth and prosperity, is as we begin to think about it and put more thought into the idea, and we combine that with, you mentioned in passing, creative visualization, and we begin to see it, and we begin to think about it, it begins to materialize. Let me just pass this along. One of the...
Bob, before you pass that, you know that sounds like we're in the ethereal, and folks go, come on, Bob, really? You know, that's too touchy-feely. That's too touchy-feely for me.
I was just going to give you an example. One of the things, I read this stuff and I say, okay, how does that apply? I do the same thing. I'm basically a skeptic when I read this stuff. But one of the little exercises I challenge the listeners to try in terms of mind over matter and their ability to manifest things, it's a very simple little exercise. What you do when you start out someplace in your car, you say, I want the perfect parking place, and I know it's there for me. And just drive to the place where you are, and if you do that, and if you do it consciously, often enough, you'll begin to see that amazing parking places begin to manifest for you. And that's a little exercise that I invite skeptics like myself to do, to see that they have much more power over the universe and physical reality than they ever thought possible. And
Okay,
that's
I
simple.
want somebody to go up. I want somebody to post that on our Facebook site. I want the perfect parking place. I want somebody to post that. And in fact, actually, would you put in there, this is an exercise, : I want the perfect parking place. And Bob, how often do I have to say that in order for that to materialize?
No, what you do is you say that when you start out, and it happens over time. You'll go and I do it all the time now as a matter of habit because I've been doing it so long, and just notice what happens. Just keep doing it.
Okay.
It's a thing that the message has to get into the universe. It has to roam around in the universe, and it has to become real in the universe, so that you have to keep speaking the word. But I'm telling you, that exercise is so amazing. I go to parking lots sometime, and I get a parking place right up next to the door, and I look around, and there are 2 or 3 parking places.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, now take that part and relate that for us to, I want to be financially free. I want to own my own business. I want this business to be successful.
No, it's not want. Remember, I am committed to owning my own business.
Okay, so I am committed.
To owning my own business. I am committed to having my business be successful. I am committed to generating the income necessary to have financial freedom. You see, what I'm suggesting here is that there is a list of commitments. It's not one commitment. It's not enough to say I am committed to financial freedom. Oh, la-di-da. It's I am committed to financial freedom. I am committed to doing what it takes. It's a list of commitments. It's not just one commitment. I'm committed to being financially free. I'm committed to taking the action to be financially free. I'm committed to doing what it takes to become financially free.
Bob, this is sounding like a job to do this.
No, it's not a job, because it's an exercise. It's like brushing your teeth.
Okay.
No different. No different than brushing your teeth.
Warriors, I'm letting you know right now, Brent Harding is going to participate in this exercise. I will participate in this exercise along with all of you. With the first 10 of you got it. You got it at no cost. I'm telling you, this is awesome. The first 10 of you. I'm going to be that 11th person. But I'm going to commit. Now let me run. I need to jump in and be part of the first 10. Thank you very much.
That's the benefit of being on the front end.
Hey, absolutely. This is such good stuff. And it really, Bob, I will tell you, I remember when you spoke about the exercise, I want the perfect parking place. When I come up to lights, I need a green light. And yeah. I'm amazed at how that has worked. I have seen that happen. Now I understand why we need to take this to the next level. Why we need to take this to the next level in terms of how it plays in our businesses. And I know for some people it sounds like the ethereal, but Bob, it's not the ethereal, is it?
No, it's very practical, and that's why. On some of the other courses I've given, I've used that as an example for people to see firsthand how they are capable and how they have the power to manifest what it is they want in their lives on a day-to-day basis. And it can't get more practical than finding a parking place. And, if you go out there this afternoon and you say that, and you end up in some awful parking place. No, that's not what you do. You keep practicing. It's not something that happens overnight, but one keeps practicing this. And as I said, I've been doing this for probably 4 or 5, maybe even more than that, probably about 10 years now, because I just did a course a couple of years ago, and I remembered that exercise, and so I started doing it very, very seriously then, yeah, and I kind of chuckle, as I said, when I pull up someplace and my parking place is right next to the door, and there are 3 or 4 parking places next to the door, then I say, well, I think this kind of works.
Well, I'll tell you, the manifestation of you getting ready to make a major move is incredibly powerful. I want to share with the audience, I realize that what time it is. However, I am always committed to giving us a full 60 minutes of someone's expertise. So if some of you have to depart right now, I'm going to fully understand. However, we've got a few more minutes to go, and I want to make sure you get all of your time with this incredible gentleman. I want to reiterate that the course is there for you. It's for our wealth warriors. You know, it's manifesting yourself by being there, being in the moment of what is available for us. Sometimes we say, well, we didn't get it, or we didn't get enough, or somebody show me the way. Here, you are being shown the way by somebody that's living the way, somebody that is living out the manifestation of what they put into the universe. And I know that that sounds ethereal, but believe me, it's now time for us to be doing that. Many of us are first generation wealth babies. We're going to be able to not only leave something on the table for our families, but we're going to bring them into the space of manifestation, bring them into the space of they can have it, bring ourselves into the space of we deserve. You know, one of the things that Bob spoke about was we have to put it, you know, it has to be, we need to be conscious of it, and we need to put it into our subconscious, because sometimes we're not putting it there. And we're going to spend the last few minutes talking about just that, what we're not, you know, the difference between we say we want it, but it's not happening. Why? Because somewhere in our heads, we have, we're running an old movie, if you will, and that's affecting our here and now. So again, I understand that some of you might need to depart, and we appreciate the fact that you are here. Thank you very much for all the posts that you shared with us. And if you have to go, make sure that you share with us who you are, what you're about. Go right ahead and, you know, and be bold. That's what we want, because some of us are going to be able to do business with each other as a result of seeing ourselves up there in our elusive exclusive Facebook site. So you still have time to make that happen. Let me share a couple of quick things, and then I'm going to bring Bob right back. First and foremost, we appreciate the fact that so many of you looked on the site and saw that we are looking for a couple of co-hosts for the show. We've gotten people that have said, yes, we are interested. So that's a good thing. I'm looking for 2 to 4 of us, so that maybe you're on once a week. You're on the first Saturday of the month. Somebody's on the second, somebody's on the third and the fourth. I want to share and say thank you very much to Ms. Thomas, who has agreed to be a scout for us in terms of our guest speakers. So I want to welcome her to our elusive exclusive Facebook site, and welcome her to the Wealth Warriors, not only as a member, but also as a scout for us in terms of having people on the broadcast. That is a necessary part of the process. So I want to say thank you very much to her for that. With that being said, I want to roll back again. Oh, just a moment. One other announcement. I will be actually engaged in a joint venture for our boot camp, and also for our real estate membership. For our real estate side, we are actually producing a real estate membership or real estate club, and I have actually been in speaking in, if you will, some negotiation in order to bring that to the table. And I'm very excited to say that very shortly I will be putting an agreement together so that renters, anybody that is renting right now that wants to own and wants to own at a reduced rate, not a reduced rate, let me rephrase that and say, not having to put nearly as much money down as we typically have, we are going to have a vehicle to make that happen for you. So don't stand by, get ready, because it is happening. By next week, I should be signing an agreement, so we're going to roll that out very shortly. And I want to thank all of the real estate professionals that have been on board with us, that are part of our elusive, exclusive Wealth Warriors site, our closed group. I want to share that with them and say thank you very much. Now, with that having been said, Bob, I want to come back and I want to talk about the mind, because one of the things you opened up with that was pretty powerful is you said some of us are writing a script in our head that is causing us not to be successful. And so I would like for you to share that part relative to commitment. You said some of us are not committed to the success we think we're committed to because we've got a script in our head that is not allowing for that to happen. And that's almost scary. Talk to us, please.
Yes, well, I want to say one time for one last statement about commitment, but let's explore that a little bit. I'm not sure where to start, but let's put it this way. Many of us are programmed from childhood, and those programs are deeply embedded in our mental process and deeply embedded in our lives. And all kinds of stuff is in there based on decisions that we've made about what we've heard and how we've been programmed by our community and our parents and so forth. An example of this is some work that I did, which I call the equal opportunity role model. For many years, we were conditioned, and many of us were conditioned to think that we could not succeed because there weren't role models that looked like us, that had our kind of cultural backgrounds and so forth and so forth. So because we didn't have those role models, we developed a belief system that said we can't succeed. And I look back at
Bob, hold it. I know somebody out there is saying, what do you mean I don't believe? I believe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm sure you do. But in back of that belief and on the side of that belief and in between that belief is the unconscious and subconscious stuff that's buried there that counters that belief every time you try to take action on it. So one of the problems we have is that we have to clear those belief systems out. And that in itself is quite a long process. I've been to 3-day seminars working on just that issue of clearing out belief systems. But ultimately, it can be done. And for example, one of the belief systems is we should make more money than our parents. I mean, as unbelievable as that is, that's a belief system that many people hold, and they hold it unconsciously. And so they go through life and struggling financially, and they can't figure out why they can't quite make it financially, et cetera, et cetera. And somewhere in our subconscious mind is this belief that says, I'm going to be an embarrassment to my family if I make more money than my parents do. That's just an example. And so that stuff gets buried in that, and we fight it. We struggle with it, and until we can clear out those kind of beliefs, we're kind of stuck. So our minds are powerful things, and we've got a lot of garbage, I would say, in there too. So what we have to do constantly is begin to clear out those garbage programs, just as we get rid of them on our phones and our computers, and we get rid of those viruses that are in there, and then we can begin to function properly. So that's a very, very sometimes a difficult process. It takes a lot of work.
Will we be able to get some of that during your course time with us?
No. No, this course is not about that.
Oh,
That's really heavy lifting. I have some notes about that I may throw in, but no, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to focus primarily on commitment. There's enough stuff that we have to worry about, and as a matter of fact, that could be a commitment. One of the commitments that one could make is to clear the garbage programs out of their minds. That would be a perfectly legitimate commitment. And then flowing from that commitment would be the action that you have to take to do that. You know, there's probably a list of workshops, et cetera, that you can do. I know some people that I took a 27-week course on clearing out beliefs, negative beliefs.
okay. I got to ask you something, Bob. You know, oftentimes we say that we follow individuals, or we follow the wealthy, or we do the things they do in order for us to emulate that success.
Yes.
You know, are the wealthy people really doing this kind of stuff?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been figuring that out, and I've been reading a lot about that. You know, those books about what wealthy people do and what wealthy people think and how they act and that sort of thing. I read quite a bit of literature on that.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, some of us come to the planet with programs that are the right programs. And those programs don't get disturbed by a lot of negative stuff.
Would that be?
And in my opinion, I think that these people that are wealthy, they just don't have that kind of programming. They are programmed essentially to be wealthy.
So, in other words, Bob, when I think about, for example, President Clinton, who said from the time he was 14 years old, he knew that he was going to be the president. So in other words, he had people and family around him that, in a matter of speaking, ensured that because they ensured that he stayed focused, that he didn't veer off to the left or veer off to the right, but he was focused in on getting there. So they were going to make sure that he didn't make any mistakes, or as few mistakes as possible, to in effect guarantee that he'd get there. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying something more fundamental than that. I'm saying that, and part of it's environmental. There's a study someplace that says by the time a child is 3 years old, they've heard 400,000 no's in their life.
Wow. Okay.
And then you can build on top of that negativity. I think it's part of our environment, part of it's cultural, part of it is certainly has to do with our upbringing.
Gotcha.
Part of it is the experiences that we have growing up in our families. It's a whole combination of things. But what happens as a result of all of that is we come away with some programs and some scripts.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Bob, we've got 1 minute remaining, and this is a topic that I find ever so fascinating. It really can impact and make a difference for those individuals that take advantage of what Bob has on the table, along with myself. It will become the measurement of what is happening as we move towards wealth. I want to say a very sincere thank you to Mr. Randolph for 2 weeks of sharing information with us. 2 weeks. We've appreciated having him with us, and we want to say thank you so much. Next week, I will actually be in Atlanta. And so it's going to be nice to be there. Some of us are going to be going down to Atlanta for a women's conference, which will be pretty daggone exciting. For those of us that are going to be in Boston on Monday, I want to share with you that we have an event going on, and actually this is a group of us have an event going on called Meet You on the Roof, and it is a rooftop at Revere, and that's at 200 Stewart Street in Boston at 6 p.m. from 6 to 8. We are coming together and we are going to share the experience of creating entrepreneurship. We're going to share the experience of wealth that all of us deserve. So if you are in the Boston area, you are cordially invited to this event. If you know people in the Boston area, tell them, hey, meet us up on the rooftop at Revere. Also, remember, Bob's course starts on Monday as well. So you've got twofers happening here. What I'm going to share with you as we close out, I want to say thank you for being with us as always. And in the words of Trevor Otts, go out and be absolutely amazing. We'll see you next week. Take care, everyone. Bye now.
Thank you, Brent. Goodbye.
Bye-bye, everybody.